Race 6 coming up, the Fairyhouse Schooling Races Mares Maiden Hurdle. Runners been called in at the 2-mile start, and it's Lot of Joy, one of the first to begin in front, followed by Danesford May Fly, Take My Hand, close up on the inside is Little Flower, all safely over the first flight. It's Danesford Main Fly, leading in the shorty Lot of Joy. On the rail is Little Flower. The grey Take My Hand on the outside of Cash the Check. And then New Galway Town and Mary Cassette round the outside of She's Online. Aurora Princess next, and these are followed by All About Lucy, Grano's Girl next, with Cherry Red and Dying for a Drink. At the rear of the field, Wendell's Lass. As they jump the second flight steps in the sand is the overall back marker onto flight number 3. Danesford May Fly in front, followed by Lot of Joy, Cash the Check improves on the inside, then a Little Flower, and Take My Hand, the back marker of the leaders, 4 or 5 lengths in front of Mary Cassette, and then Aurora Princess, and All About Lucy on the outside of New Galway Town. Grano's Girl next on the inside, and then Cherry Red, and She's Online, going uphill to flight numbers 4 and 5, and it's Danesford May Fly joined on the inside by Cash the Check, and then Little Flower, and fourth is Lot of Joy, bidding to make it third time lucky over flights, having hit the bar the last twice. Take My Hand next with Mary Cassette and Aurora Princess, All About Lucy, New Galway Town, and Cherry Red and She's Online, Grano's Girl, Dying for a Drink, and then Steps in the Sand and Wendell's Lass, well strung out, heading for halfway. Danesford May Fly has relinquished the lead to Cash the Check, Little Flower and Lot of Joy, breaking the field to Mary Cassette and Take My Hand and Aurora Princess and All About Lucy and New Galway Town next with Cherry Red and Grano's Girl and She's Online. Further back to Steps in the Sand, Dying for a Drink and Wendell's Lass. Cash the Check in front by 2.5 lengths to Little Flower, and third is Lot of Joy, now back fourth, Danesford May Fly. Mary Cassette has improved on the inside, Take My Hand with All About Lucy, and Aurora Princess and New Galway Town next with Cherry Red and Grano's Girl and Steps in the Sand and Wendell's Lass. She's Online, Dying for a Drink. 4 flights left to jump, and it's Cash the Check and Dennis O'Regan by 1.5 lengths to Little Flower, and Niall Prendergast in second, and third is Lot of Joy and Paul Townend. 5 lengths then to Mary Cassette, and All About Lucy is picked up ground on the outside, then Danesford May Fly and Aurora Princess and Take My Hand and New Galway Town and Grano's Girl and Cherry Red next. Wendell's Last followed by Dying for a Drink, Steps in the Sand, and pushed along out the back as She's Online. The flight just after the point at which they started, 3 from the finish, and it's Cash the Check, the leader, Lot of Joy on the outside of Little Flower, followed by All About Lucy and then Mary Cassette, followed then by Aurora Princess and Take My Hand and Danesford May Fly. Just over 3 furlongs to race and 2 flights to jump. In the Fairyhouse Schooling Races Mares Maiden Hurdle, Cash the Check with looming on the outside, Lot of Joy, breaking a clear of in third place, Little Flower, and then All About Lucy, who's running on the outside, ahead of Mary Cassette and Aurora Princess, and Danesford May Fly and Take My Hand as Lot of Joy comes to pick it up, heading to the second last, and has quickly moved away from Cash the Check. In third place is All About Lucy, and then Little Flower and Mary Cassette, but it is Lot of Joy kicking clear of the opposition. Over the last goes Lot of Joy, Cash the Check second, and then All About Lucy. And on the run in, it's a solo for Lot of Joy, who's maintaining the fine run of Paul Townend and Willie Mullins, their second score in the afternoon. Cash the Check for the forecast, All About Lucy third.
Yes, Willie Mullins joins me now after saddling a double here so far at Fairyhouse this Wednesday afternoon. Well done, Lot of Joy.
Thank you.
Done as expected. You went around on the bridle, really.
Yeah, she'd been too keen from her runs on the flat, and we came back to 2 miles rather than 2.5. She was too keen over 2.5. But Paul got her nicely settled. She jumped out smart and jumped the first hurdle too well, and then he just got her in behind the first 3, and it's about teaching her to settle and relax more. He got her to do that, and then produced her between the last 2, and she jumped the last well and galloped away. So we're happy enough now that she's got enough experience to go to Cheltenham for the Mares Novice.
And obviously she had a good level of form in the flat. That was a hell of a good run in the Irish Cesarewitch at the Currow, and just beat by Waterville, and your own heck was the rain.
That's right. I thought that was a very very good run, and not everything went right that day, I think.
In sweet, good in the first. Well, I thought jumped really well. Paul he taught her plenty today. He was getting her in close and into popper fences.
Yeah, she learnt a lot. She didn't impress me. I was hoping she might do things a little easier. Delighted she won, but our second mare probably improved more, maybe Ponteval, and maybe that made the other one less impressive. But I was expecting more from her, so I was, and but she's broken her duck now, and we'll go on and see what other novice races are there for her.
I thought the same as you when we were going through the race afterwards with Jane. I just thought there was a brief moment turning into the straight that Paul's body language, there wasn't as much left that he would have liked, and I thought Danny was travelling a fractionally a bit better.
Yeah, and Paul said to me she was hanging a little bit out towards the stands, and now maybe just being in front so long, that she started idle, and I put earplugs in her today, and maybe she didn't like those. Might take those out the next day. But see, there was something bothering her anyhow. Yeah, so I think there's a bit of improvement there. Yeah, definitely.
She had a good level of form, obviously over hurdles as well. Will we see her in Cheltenham? She's in a couple of races. She's in over hurdles and over fence at Cheltenham.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Connections would love to have a runner in Cheltenham, but there might be easier tasks at home. We'll see how she improves, and we'll see how she gallops between now and then.
Big chance of a treble, Viva De Vito, but he does need to settle, doesn't he?
He's another horse that runs too free, and this is a big galloping track with a lot of open space. I'm not sure it's the right track for him. I'd rather nearly go to Thurles or Tramore, where he won his bumper, where there's lots of bends and there isn't the same open space. It might settle him, but we'll see what happens here. It'll be another tough job for Paul now to settle this fellow, I think.